So, welcome to Destroy All Clickbait. It is a podcast internet show where we have talks based on clickbait.
Well said, good sir.
Yes.
Yep.
I am Ing.
Hello,
Hello, I'm Avi.
I'm Adam.
Yay!
Perfect! Got it in one!
With the three amigos. Yes, we're looking at all the weird and cruddy stuff that's scattered throughout the internet, desperate for your hits and your likes. So, as you were saying, Ing, I think you had something to play for us.
Okay, this is my first time watching it. This is what you've sent us. I think so.
It is a horrible video.
It's quite something.
5 Central.
Okay, maybe not horrible, but it's just...
There's worse.
Yeah.
Now we've done like
it's just not as polished as it should be. Let me put it that way.
Pools too, so I thought you guys would really love to see that. With that said, let's see if we can smash 10,000 likes on this video, and if we can get that, we'll start doing the You Won't Believe Exists series every week again. But with that said, let's get right into it. Number 10. So most people either want to go somewhere beautiful or somewhere dangerous when they go on vacation, but this is basically the perfect mix of both. The Devil's Pool is right on the edge of the Victoria Falls, which is literally the highest waterfall in the world if you didn't know. I'm not even joking, you literally have to pay to go, but you can't go by yourself for safety reasons. However, being honest, it's worth making the trip anyway. Just from this video alone, we could tell it's one of the best views in the whole world, and there's nothing like it anywhere else on the planet.
You literally have to...
Oh!
What's going on? Because I have it muted, so...
Oh, that's right. Well, I just managed to get the video up for the stream, but we are seeing a woman pretending to fly like Superman at the edge of a waterfall, and just really cranked up house music all of a sudden.
Number 9. Now, nature's created some pretty crazy places, but there's no beating humans when it comes to making absolutely insane places to visit. I mean, Nemo 33 is the deepest
that's not a
pool for diving in the history of the world. In fact, it's so deep that it even has fake caves built in halfway down.
That's one of my first issues.
It's 100
that's really not a pool.
The water's still pretty warm, so you don't need like a
let's
dry
go
suit
back a
to swim
little
down that
to
far.
just the beginning. So today's
Let
clickbait
me
is
pause.
Yeah.
Alright.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's the top 10 most insane pools you won't believe exist, which as usual is a little hyperbolic. First of all, it's by top 5 Central, but it's a top 10 list.
Yeah.
So
that sort of hurt my brain a little bit.
It's one of their rare double episodes. It's the double length special.
I mean, with this material, what do you know, it's so rich and in importance.
Oh, yeah.
He literally opens it with like, oh, well, so let's take a look at the 10 best pools, and let's see if we can get to 10,000 likes. That's like the first thing out of his mouth. So
yeah.
Not even that there's any value other than, let's see if we can get all the likes we want. But, yeah, the first one is a pool on top of Victoria Falls, which is the tallest waterfall in the world, and it literally just seems like you're lying in the river looking over the giant fall of the falls.
Chasm. And you can be taken to the edge, but you can't go alone because you might die.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I'm sorry, raises the question, so basically their security protocol is, this is incredibly dangerous, you could go over the edge of the fall and die. So for security and safety reasons, we want there to be a witness to your death.
Kind of. We want somebody to hold your legs as you flail your arms over the edge.
Okay, that's a bit fairer of a reading, but mine there.
That is actually what happens in the video. If you look at the lady, that's what they're doing. There's a guy holding her legs as she uses a selfie stick to record video.
Oh, God.
Okay, so their safety procedure is, if something goes wrong, we're gonna have 2 people go over.
Yeah, like, there's no, like, rope or a bungee cord or something. There's just people standing there.
Might I suggest some sort of harness? A bungee cord?
Something? A chain, even? Like...
Yeah.
What?
great with heights. And this is literally the tallest waterfall in the world, if I'm not mistaken.
So there's that first one, which really isn't a pool. It's a waterfall.
Indeed. Yeah, if you want to keep going there, Ing, we can just to enjoy.
I'm sorry, I'm still... There's a Mitchell and Webb sketch of basically a shady kind of, sort of tourist trap-like proprietor.
Uh-huh.
And it's always stuff like, go over the waterfall in a bucket or jump off this cliff. And the joke is that this is clearly just a guy who set up a lawn chair and a sign charging money for people to jump off the cliff to something that is to be certain death.
Right.
And Robert Webb's character in it is always seemingly half surprised that he's getting away with this.
Yeah.
And half bothered that it's actually working and this person's gonna jump to their death, but they do it anyway. This basically reads from something like that.
Yeah. That's why. Which Mitchell and Webb show is it?
Oh, that Mitchell and Webb look.
Okay. Because that's the only one I've watched, but I don't remember that particular skit for some reason.
I don't either, but it does sound like them.
Yeah, no, it totally sounds like them.
It's one in, I want to say, like, the third series, one of the reoccurring mini ones.
Okay, gotcha. Kind of like the one of where David Mitchell is always that mean posh guy who inexplicably works at various locations. Yes,
right.
Okay.
Anyway,
all right.
Yeah.
The next one
Professional diver
is... Alright, I'll rewind a bit because I've forgotten what it's called.
It's
some
a
pretty crazy places.
scuba diving
when it comes to making absolutely
basically
insane places to visit.
Nemo 33.
I mean, Nemo 33 is the deepest indoor swimming pool for diving in the history of the world. In fact, it's so deep that it even has fake caves built in halfway down.
And
so get ready for this. According
I mean, at least this one's actually a pool.
113 feet deep, but the good news is the water is still pretty warm, so you don't.
There is some fine editing during this segment.
Okay, so let's get some quiet while I watch.
No problem.
Need like a dry suit to go swimming down that far. The bad news is, well, it's also used for professional divers and even underwater film shoots, so good luck booking a slot within the next couple months. The bad news is, well, it's also used for professional divers and even underwater film shoots, so good luck booking a slot within the next couple months.
Wait. Okay, stop, hold on. Shit, something's wrong with the recording again.
Yes, he did repeat it twice.
He repeated it twice.
Oh, thank Christ, because I thought that was me.
Like, I was confused for a second as well, and then I realized, oh wait, somebody messed up their audio.
I too thought, am I going insane? Did I miss something here? Was that a joke? Was that like, the good news is you won't be able to use this pool? But no, it basically repeats the same thing twice. So you can see the level of care and editing that went into this video.
Which is a bit
definitely
stretching the definition for pool for, a special... I guess it is. It's a specialized aquatic environment, but...
Yep.
Yeah, it's for scuba training. And this one's cool enough. I mean, that's fair. Yeah.
And they do mention that it's used for, like, shoots and stuff like that, too. So I can imagine it's been used for movie sets at some point or another.
But, I mean, it is good how they specifically say, you won't be able to go into this pool. Like, they basically tell you that right up front.
Pretty much.
You want to go in here? Screw you, idiot.
Yeah.
You don't deserve to go in this pool. Go back to Waterworld or your wading pool.
Your kiddie pool. Yeah,
kiddie pool.
It's like they say about cooking shows. It's like it's them making food that you can't eat. So here's a pool that you will never be able to swim in. Basically.
Yep.
Look at this, you water noob. Go back to Hurricane Harbor, Disneyland.
Water noob. That is a good description of me, a water noob. Anyway, so that was like silly, obviously. Yes. And there's always this like 10-minute.
Yeah, and then we're getting like a montage sequence of some great shots of the scuba's area region.
Yeah, it's always they always have like two shots that they.
people doing the scuba equivalent of milling around the water cooler.
Yep, pretty much. Like,
Oh, that one
this...
scuba diver's shy. Come on, come in.
like, it seems like this would be interesting if it wasn't just pool walls.
Number 8.
Like, they have nothing to interact with.
I wish we got more shots of it, or I would actually rather even gotten a thing that was a shot of like footage that had been filmed there for movies.
Yeah, like
Because
something.
The fact that there's apparently like all crevices and almost like maze-like tunnels and everything, which makes sense for scuba diver training, that is actually really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Alright, so that's one that you deduct half a point from because of the bad editing, because of the bad editing.
Correct.
Yes, the editing is very bad.
Going to number 8.
Yes.
So if you go to a luxury hotel and spend a bunch of money on it, obviously you're going to want a luxury pool to go with it, and this one is pretty much as over the top as you're going to get. Marina Bay Sands Sky Park has the world's longest elevated swimming pool, and it's literally the height of luxury. It has like a vanishing edge and an insanely cool
So let me
view.
just say
It's so
that
convincing,
with
it gets
this
even
one,
better.
all I
Literally,
could
the
think
moment
of
you get
is
out of the water,
that
you're surrounded by rooftops, celebrity
this
chefs,
would have
and
been
exclusive
loads more
nightclubs.
interesting if I was
Oh,
watching
and did I
Travel
mention
Man
there's even
instead.
a freaking observatory deck with 360 views of the Singapore skyline. That is if you could afford it.
All I can think of is that episode of Archer that involved a pool like this. You remember where Kenny Rogers is trying to kill Archer.
Right.
Yeah. No, there's
Kenny Loggins,
there's
sorry.
basically, yeah. This is, I mean, again, this is more or less cool, but you are realizing this appears to be just a big, like, paid travel advertisement of some kind, as far as I can tell. Like, it's literally, they keep putting YouTube travel up in the corner.
Well, I wonder how much of these clips are actually fair use, but there's...
But that's, yeah.
Because they do use
Number
some
7.
random YouTubers' videos as well.
I mean, it's kind of common
But
knowledge.
yeah,
most people
I
like
would
to
have preferred watching Richard Ayoade be awkward next to this pool than that.
This is a great location for a prayer and a pint. This is funny to, like, the probably 3 people who have watched the Mitchell and Webb look.
Everyone should watch it. It's on Netflix.
Remember that thing that's funnier than us? It exists.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, it
well,
does.
and Richard Ayoade. So this is the British comedy episode of Destroy All Clickbait, where we
Yes.
talk about all the good British TV shows we watched.
Next up, the pool at the Ministry of Silly Walks.
Oh dear.
Okay, so we're going into number...
Hey,
Number
can you hear me,
7.
Clem Fandango?
I mean, it's kind of common knowledge that most people like their privacy, but do you think you'd ever go this
None
far?
of you get that right.
So to give a short explanation, a group of architects made
I
this house with a pool on
apologize.
the roof in the Greek island, and I've got to be honest, the reason why is pretty crazy.
From, Toast of London.
So the whole house is either hidden
which is
under the
another
pool or
British
built
show, I
into the
think.
rock, and the pool itself acts like a huge mirror, so the whole house is basically invisible. With that reasoning
This
aside,
is-
the pool
this
also
one
has a
is
more
great.
normal job,
This
since it's
pool
absolutely
is
huge
great
and
because
perfect
they
for swimming, especially
literally
because
don't
there's
have
nothing
any
else to do
footage,
for
any
miles.
video footage of it.
Yeah,
It's
'cause
just
it's
still
a private
photos.
Number 6.
Well,
Now this pool is mostly
Ah!
pretty but their way of helping guests get around is
somebody
pretty
possibly owns
neat.
this
So there's like a
building.
splash pool, a
They
lazy
broke
river,
into
and some
someone's
stand
house
yourself
for
in the
this.
grand wavy pool. But there's
Yeah.
also the water elevators.
We're already on to
Thinking,
number
it
6,
really doesn't
and
sound like a real thing.
footage
It's
is
actually
really
really
sped
cool
up.
and not hard to grasp at all.
Yep.
Yeah,
Basically,
it's
in the
because they're
activity
stealing
pool, guests
footage
just have
from
to
other
hang out to a
channels.
Big metal column,
So,
and as the water rises,
Also,
so do they.
this is
Honestly,
really
though, I think the stairs
stupid,
would actually be
and
quicker, but
you
who
can
cares?
see
You
why
walk
once it
upstairs and
comes
you can
up.
literally just float your way to your destination.
Because these people are not floating; they're all sitting on something.
Yeah. And this is not. And they talk about these pools like they're unique in the world. It's like I'm pretty sure lots of resorts have this exact thing.
So, it's a moist elevator.
That you can sit in. Yeah, because I mean, there's this footage. You see someone standing
Ah.
there, like they're not floating up.
Oh, we somehow skipped all the way to number 1. And number 2.
No, yeah, that's just to be confusing. They're now putting up the
And
numbers
number
number
3.
1, number 2.
Yeah,
number 3.
again, they're stealing footage from other channels.
Yeah, and wait, since we're
basically.
doing the British comedy theme...
Number 5.
Oh yeah, Benny
Oh.
Hill is
Looking
in
for a
there
place to
too.
go
No,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
one will get us striked. Yakety Sax always gets people striked.
Aw.
Really?
Yes.
Even when it's done poorly with basically the lip
Yes.
harmonica.
Correct.
What is YouTube's or Twitch's problem with yakety sax?
I think it's more whoever owns the yakety sax is not a nice person. Sort of like John Williams in Star Wars.
John Williams is fine. So number 5.
There's John. Anyway, number
5.
Yes, keep going.
So if you were looking for a place to go on a super relaxing retreat, you probably wouldn't think of
Fairly-
Utah, but it turns out they got something pretty cool to offer. The Homestead Resort has a 70
Oh, just so you know, there is a bit of a lag because Twitch does that because of games.
Now I know what you're thinking.
So that
A
people
limestone
can't
cave
cheat.
might not be the most traditional place to go swimming, but it pretty much does everything.
So this one I actually do think is cool. The only problem is that
Not only that, but for a cave,
people
it's way
shouldn't
more pretty
actually
than you
do this in
probably expect, so
underground
you really have to
caves.
go.
Because you could die.
Well, at least they've got like a lifeguard. Yeah. I
No,
mean,
the
this one-
sign says no lifeguard on duty.
Yeah.
Oh, does it? I
Yeah.
didn't even catch that.
Yeah.
The glare from the lighting just covers out no.
But
Oh my God.
there are stories of kids who have gone into caves, found pools, went swimming in the pools, and
God,
pools often have like pockets of gas in them that end up being toxic and kills them. So don't do that.
Shit, either that guy really busted his dive or he did die.
Oh, and then this guy just belly flops because, you
This
know.
viral video for The Descent 3.
Correct.
Number 4.
Well, this is a well-lit cave, and there's like
Yeah,
some
no, this
dude
is
watching them over.
Yeah, this is clearly a tourist thing, so I'm sure that they actually watch the pool and make sure it isn't toxic, but, like, you shouldn't do that in real life, is to go
Of
into
course.
to underground cave pools.
God,
you,
no.
you can die.
G.I. Joe. Shit, that may be too old for people. Sailor Moon says.
That's still too old for some people.
Crap.
Yeah.
I mean, I follow a
Yeah,
cosplayer
tell
who's
you.
watching
Yeah.
who's watching the old Sailor Moon anime for the first time in her life, and that makes me feel incredibly old.
God.
My age.
What are the kids watching? Oh, Logan Paul says, "Hey kids, try this at home." Too dark. Sorry.
Hey kids, want to see a dead body?
I'm just going to imagine that's what Logan Paul sounds like because I've never seen his videos, of course.
Yeah, well, we'll go with that. I haven't actually watched his videos either. I've watched videos of his videos.
Yeah, I'm
So-
sure he sounds like
Amazing.
Harvey Weinstein. Shit, not Harvey Weinstein. Fuck, I forgot. Okay, edit this
We're
out.
just going for the horrible person trifecta here tonight.
Probably. That's the other thing we're doing.
Shit, who is that actor
Anyway.
now? Anyway.
Okay, so Bali is already one of the most beautiful places on the planet. And to be honest, this might be one of
Yeah,
the most
anyway,
gorgeous
number
places
4,
in it.
anyway.
Like, you
It's
can
just-
easily
at
tell
this
there aren't any
point,
crazy
it's
gimmicks, because
blatantly
the
just
Hanging
a
Gardens
travel
Resort is
ad for
completely
number 4.
surrounded by forest.
Oh, yeah.
Showing in the infinity pool honestly makes you feel like you're right there in the
Yeah,
trees.
this
I mean, if you're
if
looking
this
to relax,
isn't
it's pretty much the best
hashtag
place for
sponsored
you. If that
content
pool
for
is too
these
high, there are
people, I'd
loads
be
of
very
smaller ones that get
surprised.
closer to the ground. With
This
all that
one,
said, though, if
however,
you're afraid of
is,
heights or if you got vertigo,
You
this
know,
is so not the pool
this
for
one's
you.
cool.
It's cool.
Oh, yeah,
but
it's
it's just
The way they talk about this pool just sounds like it's more sponsored than anything else.
and it's a very nice pool. I'd love to be there right now, but it's just like it's a pool in Bali, and Bali is very nice. And I'm like,
And you're up in the trees. Yay!
yeah, if you're in a treehouse or whatever, which is kind of neat, but
Man,
it's
it really sucks that ever since
mind-blowing.
the Death Star battle, Endor's been gentrified.
Yep. This is what happens.
Do you know how many Ewoks were displaced so they could make this resort?
Murdery.
They are of course murder bearers. As we
Okay,
all
I'll
know.
admit it.
Yes, they are
They'll
murder
come back.
This is a
And,
real pool, but
they'll
it's
come back
basically
and wipe
impossible
the
to tell
place
the
out,
difference.
of course.
So this pool is
Number
actually an illusion
3.
created by an artist for a museum a few years back, but it's insanely convincing. Like, even once you see the people breathing and talking on the floor of the pool, it still feels like they're underwater, and you can even see the
It even
surface of
says
the
a
water
word
above them.
cheating. It's not a real
Like, it's
pool.
so clever that I'm just dying to know how they made it look so real, but at the
I
same time, I'm
think
gonna leave the
all
magic
it
live
is,
for you
it
guys
is
to
a
figure out
sheet
in
of
the comments
glass
below.
with water
Do you
running
think there's like
over
a
it.
really
Yeah.
thin sheet of glass or what? I mean, I
That's
bet
what
one
it
of them
is.
smart enough to figure it out.
Like,
Again.
you guys are smart enough to figure out and just No.
Yeah. I'll leave it for you to decide. It's one of the biggest cop-outs from, like, when we were doing a school presentation and we had nowhere to end it on. So
Well, shit,
I
this
won't
one
tell
would have required actual effort on my part. Well, up to you, kids!
Basically.
My work
I
here
could
is
puzzle
done.
Number
solve this
two.
mystery.
Number 2.
Okay, if there's one thing cooler than a natural pool, it's a natural pool right next to an ancient city. Iquil in Mexico was a sacred site for the Mayans and
Yeah,
used
it
for
is.
relaxation. For the much more creepy
Because
fact is they
this
also used it for
doesn't
ritual
seem
services.
racist at all.
Nowadays, there are no rituals there.
Oh
Just
my
small
God.
waterfalls and vines all the way down. You have to share the water with a huge black
Anyway.
catfish that still live there. So yeah, if you
Wait,
can
hold
handle
on.
the fish and being 85...
A few things. I feel that we
Yes.
really skipped over the most interesting thing was, you do have to share the pool with a giant black catfish
Yep.
that lives there, and then just sped
throw that
along, and it was like, no, go back.
And he will repeat the whole ritual thing.
Yeah,
Like
and-
twice.
They keep going, it's creepy because they did rituals here. It's like, well, first of all, okay, rituals could be anything. You're trying to imply they did human sacrifice, but why not just say human sacrifice? It's
If that
pretty
was the
obvious
case.
they didn't commit human
Was it
sacrifice,
to the
so
catfish?
you're trying to build it up. I
Yeah.
guess.
Well, the catfish is more interesting, let's be
The
fair.
other thing is I feel a bit better about how shitty this Twitch video is, and that we are now looking at a YouTube
Yeah.
screen cap of a YouTube screen cap.
Yep. Yep.
As I was saying, Hall of Mirrors, don't look too close, you'll fall in infinitely.
No, if I really wanted to fuck with people, I would just open up the actual OBS window and do a screen
And it would just
capture,
go on forever.
so that
Yeah.
we would see the
It'd just
window,
go on forever.
see the window watching the browser, which is watching a YouTube video, which is itself watching a YouTube video repeated indefinitely.
people at
Sort
ground
of a
level,
ma-
it's actually
sort of
pretty
a-
beautiful. As
sort
long
of
as you can
sums
stop
up
yourself
the
from
show,
thinking about
doesn't
the
it?
horrifying Mayan rituals
little
which are
bit.
right above.
An infinite array of browsers.
Horrifying Mayan rituals.
Yes.
That we won't go into because we don't know what they actually were.
Yep, exactly. Just rituals. Ooh.
Ooh. And then just a bunch of people jumping into this pool. Once. That's it.
The Mayans used to perform horrible heathen rituals there. Smash cut to just like an old Mayan priest throwing bread into the water for the catfish.
Yep.
It's like a koi pond, but we don't know what those are because we're Mayans.
Well, it's a catfish pond. They don't have koi.
Exactly. Numero uno.
But no, first we got the music montage, which is the
Yay.
same footage we've just seen,
Yeah.
Oh yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Very, very pretty.
but with the framing problems fixed this time.
Yeah. And then we get synchronized diving.
The horrible Mayan rituals.
Yeah.
Of jumping into a
Yeah.
pool
No,
feet
no.
first.
When white people do
One
it, it's
minute.
just having fun. When Mayans do it, it's horrible Mayan rituals.
This one is just attributed to YouTube Red Bull. Are we
Yep.
watching a fucking Red Bull ad?
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yep.
Pretty shameless.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
these people
Sure.
clearly did not drink it because they should have wings.
Right.
Yeah, they shouldn't be
Number
following
one.
into
Number
the
one.
mysterious pool with the catfish.
Don't give it to the catfish, or the catfish will have wings, and then it'll be piranha too with catfish. Anyway.
Aerial catfish. Hold on, I have some calls to make to Sippy. Along with
Number
Mayan
one is
rit-
just
along
stupid.
with Mayan ritual blood catfish, which has already been greenlit,
Yeah.
Okay, good.
and catfish NATO.
Oh my god.
And number one.
Fun fact of the day: people have always gone to swimming pools to help their skin. but no
This
one
one I
did
just
like
can't
Stop!
imagine.
I'm stopping there because the first thing that came up: can you drink entire pool? And then it shows them emptying into a slop bucket, something that is not water,
Yes.
Nope.
What do you want to guess what that is? Ing?
Yeah.
I really want to hear what you think that is.
Because I know what it is, and it kind of grosses me out personally. So.
Well, okay. I know what it looks like. That I'm really hoping it isn't, but I also have a feeling, knowing my life, I'm not lucky enough for it to actually be something like milk.
No, it is something.
Not milk.
It is something mundane, but it's not milk.
I'm just
right,
mentally weighing the odds that this is going to end with an Olympic-sized pool full of horse semen.
No. It is not that. I said
No,
mundane.
it's nothing so mundane as horse semening.
Like somebody can go to a store and buy this.
I've worked odd jobs in my life.
I used to put in 12 hours down at the horse semen factory. And
See, you say that as a joke, but... let's see what...
All right, let's break this as bad.
I like that the whole time we're talking about it. The horse semen factory, there's just the caption, "Does it taste good?"
All right.
Clay. I mean, even when things get a bit more
Survey
crazy,
says.
Warm beer, okay.
Because that's supposed to help their skin the most. Now, I don't know about you, but I've never heard of a beer pool before, especially not one that's supposed to act like a sauna. With that said, people still seem to love swimming in it, even if it's mostly too
Okay, I have
bitter
to
drink.
pause.
By all means.
Go right ahead.
There was a Mythbusters on this, and I'm racking my mind trying to remember because I believe that it's supposed to be a thing that you shouldn't swim in beer. Because there's a density thing, you can't actually float in it as well as water, and it's easier to drown in.
Well, I don't think
Really?
they're deep enough to like be more than say like a jacuzzi, you know?
So we're
What
going
a
to
way
have
to go.
to, of course, start that discourse. Is a jacuzzi a pool?
No. But apparently to them, yes, because a waterfall is a pool.
Uh-huh.
Are hot dogs a pool?
Oh God! Don't even say that, Ing. Not even in jest.
Oh my god, crap!
So, yes,
Even the YouTube video the footage is taken from doesn't call it a pool. It specifically says, like a hot tub, except filled with beer. And
like,
giving a shout out to Great Big Story, which appears to be one of the main sources that this footage is stolen from.
yes.
I say as we're stealing footage and content from the person who stole the footage from them.
It's fine. Well, I can't say we're reacting to it because we
We're
can get
taking
sued
it
for
back.
saying that.
We're reclaiming it.
We're taking back the night. We're
But if you need another excuse
recontextualizing
to
it.
try
Is
it,
that
apparently
okay?
leaves your skin
Yes,
velvety
that
soft.
works for me.
Wir befinden uns hier im Bierschwimmbad,
It's,
hier
you
in
know,
der
artistic
Brauerei
value.
Starkenberg. In
But
Schloss
anyway, we're
Starkenberg in
not
Tirol.
actually showing it.
So dieser Raum war vor
there's
15
that.
Jahren
Yeah,
noch Teil der
it's-
Brauerei.
Yeah, the podcast
Man hat die
won't show
Brauerei
it.
dann umgebaut.
Yeah.
Und da
Like,
hatte unsere Chefin
I
die
just
Idee,
can't
wir könnten hier ein
imagine
Bierbad machen.
that
In den
the
Gärtnerküchen der
ladies
Brauerei
aren't getting
bieten wir
various
unsere
lady
Gäste
problems as a result of
Yeah,
doing this.
I was about to say my second thought was the subject of yeast, which is
Yeah.
which live yeast cultures are an ingredient in beer.
Yep.
I
I
also
mean-
want to add that if you're completely submerged in something which is effectively a giant culture of yeast, even, shall we say, those of the penially disposition can experience the joys of yeast infection as well.
Yeah, you guys just suffer through it differently than us.
Here's the thing, I'm pretty sure that due to the anatomy, it's actually way worse.
Oh, is it? Oh, no! Oh!
Think about it.
I am now! Oh!
It's harder, but I'm pretty sure that if you it's harder to contract, but I'm pretty sure if you manage it, you're in for a bad time.
Yeah, that's true.
God.
Because I have heard of it being transferred that way. But, oh...
That's a Candiru right there.
Yeah. And, like, this goes on to say your skin is really soft afterwards. And it's just like, well, yes. That's why some women wash their hair in beer. Because it adds softness and luster to your hair.
Well,
but I am not going to bathe in it.
Yeah. I did not know that beer would add softness and luster to your hair. That's
yes,
that's interesting.
It's supposed to be flat beer specifically. But that is a thing that some women have done, that they will rinse their hair in beer, and it adds softness and luster to it. It has something to do with the hops, I think, specifically. But yeah, that is a thing. Women do weird things to their hair, FYI.
So, here's two more thoughts. Do people drink the beer? Because I'm a little worried, especially since this is German, that they are taking this beer that people have bathed in, basically marinated, forming and there's no better way to say that, but cocktail, and then bottling it and selling it. I
want to say, of course not, Ing. Don't be ridiculous.
See, you say that, but I know for a fact that there was a Kickstarter for vagina floral beer.
What?
Yes, in that there was a Kickstarter for the idea of taking the bacterial and microbial flora from a woman's vagina and using it to brew and ferment beer.
What?
Why?
I don't know.
What would that? How? I mean,
what?
That's just straight up. That's just for pervs. Like,
yes.
There's no other explanation for. Oh yes, no, that makes it twice as tasty beer. No, it doesn't. Shut up.
No,
you're getting off on it, and that's all there is to it.
The whole commercial was about capturing the essence of beautiful women.
Yeah,
well, isn't that the same concept as men who like to drink wine from women's shoes? It's essentially the same concept. It's just more gross.
Yeah, but you haven't made the wine from it.
This is true, but you're still pouring it into a shoe that has been worn by somebody's feet.
Yeah.
I still think a more comparable would be that it's like, this is wine that was pressed using only the finest of supermodel butt cheeks.
Wine, they do say traditionally it's supposed to be the Italian peasants who get in there with their bare feet and crush the wine and everything like that.
Well, yeah.
But I mean, this whole... You're using your vaginal flora. That is literally, to capture the essence of a beautiful woman, that is literally more or less the concept of the movie, and I guess the book, Perfume, The Story of a Murderer, which I really enjoy. That's a great movie if you haven't seen it. But it's literally a serial killer is doing this. So don't market it as something a serial killer would do.
Yeah.
I seriously doubt anyone's getting anything out of that, and if they are, they're kidding themselves. This is like the ads where, women, they sell vibrators, and for some reason they can't advertise them as vibrators, so they say they're back massagers or something. That's what it is. That's just gross.
No, but even that one, they're telling you it's for pervy things. I mean, they're not saying it in that many words, but they're being honest about it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the thing is like,
exactly.
It's wink, wink, a back massage.
Right.
And it's to the point that, Trojan now actually is just advertising portable vibrators, and they're just not saying what they're for, they're just having discussions with the women, saying,
yes.
And it's like the thing, it was like, from context what this is, but we can't say it, but it is, and I'm going to trail off.
We really took this to a much, after just simply a beer pool, and we took it to a really
we took it to
place,
a, pun intended, darker place.
Oh.
Oh, Ing.
Oh dear.
God. Yes, but yes, the we would have to sort of look up reviews of this one location, the beer location.
Oh
to
yeah,
see if
I'm
anyone...
gonna do that next. Right now, I'm wondering. There's about 40 seconds left, and do I just end it here, or do I let it play out to the end to see if there's any more wacky editing?
There isn't any more wacky editing, really.
All right, so I'll end it here.
Yeah.
No, it's
Yay!
Oh.
And then there you go.
We're a team. Cool.
Oh yeah, how silly of me! How I could forgot the name. The beer is called the Order of Yanni.
What?
What?
Order of Yanni, like the singer?
I believe it is as in
Or
Yannick.
Yoni?
Yeah,
oh,
Yoni.
Yoni. Okay.
Or maybe Yoni. I
Yoni
mean, that's
wash?
how I would pronounce it. But
Oh God!
must be.
I just meant look up. Oh my God! You must be of legal drinking age to enter this site. You don't say.
Okay.
Bottled Instinct, the first beer with vaginal lactic acid.
Cripes.
Jeez.
And what I especially like is it's like a slideshow on the thing, and one of the images
Oh my
is
God.
supposed to be a sexy woman writhing on the ground, but it kind of looks like she's dropped down dead.
It's just, again, oh my God.
This is just awkward.
This is what happens when advertisers have nowhere further to put the whole...
Oh my god!
Yeah, that's not great. When they have nowhere
Hold on,
further
I'm
to
taking
push the...
screen caps to put in the chat.
Oh
Some
no.
of these are great.
Oh. I want to know who thought that was a good idea. Like seriously.
Uh-huh. Well, somebody did, and how long... Now, of course,
Save
they...
as buttbeer.jpg.
Downing. Well, now, of course, and then we'll say this, and then
And that's
we'll
uploaded
find
to
out
the chat now.
they've all made like millions of dollars from this, and we'll be like, oh, now we're just sad, and they could buy and sell us 1 million times over from their
Probably.
vaginal beer. Literally, they couldn't try harder to just sort of mash up stuff that bros like, basically. What if beer and vaginas together at last?
Well, I mean, if men weren't so skeeved out by breast milk, that would probably be the other thing. But men are skeeved out by breast milk, so...
Yeah. Well, I'm not skeeved out by it, but the whole I'm going to drink it might be a little bit much, I think. But hey.
Well, whenever, so I forget what show it was on, but they gave them ice cream and then told them it was made from breast milk, and then everybody got grossed out by it. It's just kind of like, that is actually the milk we are supposed to consume, as opposed to cow's milk, which we are not supposed to consume.
That's correct.
So...
Yeah, no, you're correct. Oh man, you just blew my mind, Abby. Whoa!
I'm not saying you should go out and try to consume it, but...
Well, I'm sure there's a thriving industry in human breast milk as well. I'm sure that's something you can buy, and that's probably less weird than the vaginally brewed beer.
Yeah. If we're judging on a bell curve of kink shaming.
Yeah, at least with that, with the breast milk, you can make a fairly legitimate claim for health benefits or whatever, because as you say, it is the thing you're supposed to drink technically. But yeah.
Well, if you want to get technical, the vast majority of the human population is not supposed to drink it a post-weaning. And it is
true.
And it is literally indigestible with any degree of comfort, as is any other form of milk, and it is only statistically on the rarer side mutation that allows the processing of lactate.
Yep. Yes, that is kind of interesting, that whole thing.
Holy
about,
shit! Oh fuck,
the
can we
fact that
get
they're
white
not really-
supremacists to do the milk chugging challenge? No, hear me out on this.
Oh, the milk chugging
Explain the
challenge.
milk chugging, yeah.
So white
If you don't know...
So
Yeah, go
because,
ahead,
as alluded to, in what we in genetics call the wild type, or the dominant trait of the human population, is lactose intolerance. Lactose tolerance is the mutant trait. So white supremacists have taken that as a point of pride that they have the superior baby juice drinking genes.
Cow baby juice.
And so they've been doing milk chugging challenges or that. So here's my thought. Can we get them to do milk chugging challenges and then reveal to them it's breast milk?
Oh my god.
Well, I mean, you could do that with you could do it with soy milk. That would be even funnier. With their reaction to soy that they have, that freaks them out. But yeah,
Or, I assume they probably have the same reaction to almond milk as well. Which does taste different, but they probably wouldn't notice.
yeah, no, but the soy thing is a thing where the weirdos on the internet are obsessed with the idea that soy is going to reverse their hormones and feminize them or some nonsense. And
although people do have soy allergies as well, so that's the only other problem.
People have milk allergies. That's the whole point that we're talking about. This is literally them believing that soy milk, which is a thing that has existed for quite a long time, soy in general, and which literally a huge chunk of the human population eats, is literally going to turn you gay or something. I don't even remember what they're
feminize you.
Feminize you because so the actual science.
The actual science.
There are chemicals called
exist.
called isoflavins, which, first of all, word of the day because that's fun to say. And everyone just take some time to say in a Professor Frink from The Simpsons voice, isoflavins. Which are weak phytoestrogens that is estrogen-like compounds for plants. And soybeans, of which tofu and soy milk come from, are strong in these. Of course, estrogen is much stronger than it, so no, ingesting this will not actually give you a dose of plant estrogen. Which is basically what it is.
Oh, that's a relief. Plant estrogen, yeah.
Yeah, that's what's going to feminize
compound that plants use, not obviously for the same thing. I'm not implying that you could take isoflavins and inject it into a sunflower to get it to grow tits, but no, it is a plant-based estrogen-like compound.
Fair enough. But, I mean, doesn't the human body... Don't both genders have a certain amount of estrogen anyway?
Yes.
Completely insane?
It is a hormone that all humans have to have.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway.
To various degrees. And actually, estrogen goes through, when it travels through the blood-brain barrier to affect the brain, it actually goes through a process which converts it to testosterone.
Oh. That's interesting.
Yeah.
This is getting entirely too educational, Ing. But I'm amazed.
He knows things.
Yeah, he does. He knows about clowns. He knows about biology. He knows all kinds of stuff.
Try to guess what my previous jobs were. He knows about clowns, horse semen, biology. This is painting a dark picture.
Horse semen is the bridge between those two professions.
Yeah.
I spent a summer working on the clown farms.
Where they grow the freshest clowns. But it is interesting, though, that there's real I mean, you're telling me this, I'm like, oh, there's actually something vaguely resembling a fact that inspired them to think this stuff. I thought that was just their usual nonsense, but I guess...
You know, a lot of their nonsense is technically based on fact. It's just extremely misinterpreted fact.
I guess so. There you go. Huh.
Like, soy has estrogen in it. This will make us all ladies, so therefore we should not eat it.
Plant estrogen-like, Kevin. So, no, they're wrong. Okay, so, how wrong is this? Several things. One, I'm pretty sure it would not be effective. And someone feel free to correct me on this. If you took a vial of estrogen and drank it, I'm pretty sure there's a reason that it is in, I want to say, injection? Or maybe pill?
Okay.
Then this is how you can tell that I am very cis. But I'm pretty sure that you cannot absorb that much simply by drinking it, because, you know, digestion breaks things down. And if you could, you know what actually would probably have more, like, sex hormones in it? Actual meat. Because fucking cow, cows would have estrogen. As would, you know, female pigs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, hormone. Well, they say that. Again, this is probably an urban legend, but there have been people who say, "Oh, you know, kids today go through puberty faster because of all the hormones they put in beef and pork and things growing them up." I have no idea if that's true or not.
Yeah, but that's growth hormone, and that's
a little different.
That's maybe stronger. Two, also that's a thing that, like, when you're juicing, like, for bodybuilding, and that you do it by injection, not just banging it back like a protein shake.
Ingestion, yes.
Yeah, and I don't know, in my classes, they were kind of firm that was inconclusive, and they want to say that it's actually people are sexually maturing at about the same rate. It's just that kind of with the growth hormone things, people have grasped onto the number of outliers at one end of the bell curve.
Oh, okay.
And they're saying that this is something new, and the kind of thought is that, no, this is something that's always happened, but we just kind of have these two things. They're two unrelated plot points, data points maybe, we don't know. It could be two, but I'm just saying that's what it came in, you know, when I was in college with Mitt Romney in meat class.
Wait, where did Mitt Romney come into this? What?
Mitt? Yeah, Mitt Romney famously in his transcripts got a D in a college class for...
called meats!
Yeah, for scientific... for covering the science requirement called meats.
That wasn't... No, it wasn't Mitt Romney, though. It was...
oh, shit, it was Rick Perry. Fuck.
Rick Perry, yeah, that's who it was.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I feel like they're practically the same person, so it's okay.
I think I could believe Mitt Romney is relatively intelligent. I think Rick Perry is the guy who desperately wants to be...
Look, Mitt Romney would have at least gotten a B+ in meat.
No, who are we kidding? He would have aced the meat pro. He would have. It's the coffee class that comes afterwards that he can't participate in.
Oh, that's right.
He would have gotten an A1 in meat.
Oh. Ooh. Well done. Okay, so does anyone else have any clickbait for us this week? Now that we've gone on.
I mean, does anyone care what Muppet they are?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
All right, let me give you guys a link.
I had kind of a vague topic, but now that we're into Muppets, go on.
Yes, Muppets. I put
Aqua said
I steeple my fingers
BuzzFeed.com.
and I go, Muppets, yes.
Because the other quiz I took was everyone has a combo. Hold on. Everyone has a combo of 2 Disney princesses. Which one are you? And this is such a fucking cop out, but I got Princess Leia and herself. What?
Is it at least young Leia and old Leia?
No, it's just Leia. I mean, maybe that's what they were going for, but it would have been nice if they did a picture of Princess Leia and
Are you
also
kidding?
General
They didn't even
Leia.
So this is what Homeworld thinks of fusion. Alright, so let me go through this test there. Everyone has a Muppet that matches their personality. Here's yours.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
So pick a pattern, and there are several patterns. I'm going to pick the stained glass one.
Yeah, this is how all BuzzFeed quizzes are.
Alright, so what...
pick from some things.
let's crowdsource this. What word describes my best quality? Creative, smart, funny, stylish, cool, honest.
All of them?
Yeah, flattery.
It will get you everywhere.
Well, we know Avi's isn't honest now.
I'm waiting for this to just turn into, what's your favorite animal? Frogs, pigs, bears.
Oh, well, the next
Thankfully
one.
they don't do that.
What word describes your biggest flaw? Bossy, awkward, flaky, impatient, aloof, or corny? So I'm clicking awkward. Pink,
Corny.
pick a drink between root beer, whiskey, tea, champagne, chocolate milk, and martini.
Uh-huh.
Oh shit,
Pick a
there's no
snack,
coffee,
really?
which would be the obvious one.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
I'll
the
go
tea.
with root beer, I guess.
And it's clear that the tea... See, I'm guessing right here that tea is going to make you more like Kermit because of the Kermit drinking tea meme.
Yeah.
The tea lizard meme that we're all familiar with.
Oh, God.
Pick a snack, brownies, pretzels, cookies, and I have a feeling that one's flagged to one specific Muppet. Call it a hunch. Macaroons, popcorn, and avocado toast.
Yep.
Avocado toast.
'Cause it's
for the millennial
BuzzFeed.
Muppet. Yeah.
Oh, yes. Is there a millennial Muppet?
I don't know.
No,
Walter,
fuck it.
I guess? I
I'm
don't
clicking
know.
the avocado toast because I want to see what that leads towards. If you were a celebrity, what would you be most famous for? Acting, directing, music, social media, game show hosting, or I don't want to be famous?
Again, a fairly blatantly obvious tell for what Muppet that
I'm
steer you
selecting
towards.
I don't want to be famous because I'm interpreting this as you're famous despite your pleas to be left alone. Pick a TV show: Black Mirror, 30 Rock, The Crown, Mad Men, Friends, and RuPaul's Drag Race.
Mad Men. That's quite an array of shows. Quite a-
I'm gonna be honest, there's none of these that I actually watch.
Ah.
Not even Black Mirror? Come on.
I haven't seen it. I actually haven't seen it.
Neither have I, actually.
Oh, it's great. Anyway, it's very small. It's an old man yelling at a cloud, but it's really well done. I love the show, but I've never laughed harder at anything than I did at Ortberg saying, "What if?" Describing it as "What if phones, but more so." No, what if phones, but too much? That's pretty accurate.
Alright,
Okay.
well I can rule out Friends right away since I actually don't like that show. I guess by default it's gonna be RuPaul's Drag Race since that's the one I've seen the most of via my wife watching it.
Ah.
And I got Gonzo.
Okay.
Oh, well, that seems appropriate.
Yeah, so it's well calibrated.
I
Win
got
this
Fozzie
time,
Bear.
BuzzFeed.
You know,
Just as a
you wanna
reminder,
get-
this is the same website that broke a major fucking news story.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, you don't know what's coming out of fucking BuzzFeed, but they do a lot of clickbait.
Uh-huh. That's the... Do you want to guess who I got? Before we
Who'd you get?
continue? I got Janice.
Who?
Or Janice.
Janice? Oh, the
Yeah.
one without eyes.
Yeah, the Janis Joplin Muppet of the
Yeah.
band, basically.
Yeah.
Oh,
free-
Electric
free-
Mayhem.
Electric
Yes.
Mayhem, exactly.
Yes.
Which suggests there's quite a lot of Muppets in the database that you can get her. But maybe she's one of the only female Muppets other than Miss Piggy, so I guess that might be why. But
Of the original cast, yeah, she's one of the few female Muppets. So
You get Wardolph and Stantler?
that would be amazing.
oh, that would be so
Okay.
cool.
Let's go through
You're gonna
this,
try
and
now?
I'm going to try to get to calibrate it best on Waldorf and Stantler. So I'm picking the
Statler.
monochrome pattern. Going to pick honest for best quality. Probably aloof for worst quality. Pick a drink, whiskey. Picking
Popcorn.
a snack, popcorn. If you were famous, what would it be most famous for?
Game show hosting?
Social media, maybe? I don't know.
I guess I'll
Social
go with
media.
social media. Pick a TV show, Mad Men. Damn it, I got
Yeah.
Rolf!
Same. And I didn't choose all the same things you did.
Alright, trying again. Pretty sure the pattern's right. I'll go with funny this time. And go... No. Corny would get me Fonzie Bear. So I'll do... I'll try aloof again. Whiskey's definitely the right way to go. Or would it be No, okay. Whiskey, popcorn. I'll go with don't want to be famous, and... Oh, of course, The Crown. Damn it, I got Rolf again!
I have never heard someone so angry to get Rolf.
Damn it, Rolf the dog!
I gotta be honest, I don't think Statler... Based on the comments, I don't think there's that many options, so I don't think Statler and Waldorf are in there.
Yeah, I think they... Which is kind of a shame.
I'm gonna be
Yeah.
honest, since I've intentionally involved music to not get Rolf, it's clear that whiskey just, defaults you to
Makes
Rolf
you Rolf,
now. That's
yeah.
his drink.
That's weird, that whiskey is his drink. I don't know if it's ever referenced in the show at all.
Well, no, it's a kid's show. I don't think they're gonna have him drinking a lot of
You'd
whiskey,
be
but
you'd be surprised. They wouldn't say it's whiskey.
no, they wouldn't.
Rolf the dog whiskey.
Yeah,
which,
I mean, he's-
oh my god, which leads to a wonderful internet haul from Muppet Wiki fandom, powered by Wikia, Muppets imbibing alcohol!
I guess it's somebody's fetish.
Which is an instances in which Muppets imbibed alcohol or where it is implied.
What? Okay, give us a link. Give us a link. Come on.
Which I will read out some of my favorite ones that I got there, since this show is fucking We Read the Internet.
Uh-huh.
Cookie Monster drinks a cocktail.
What?
With Julie Andrews.
With Julie Andrews on Sesame Street. He downs the drink while the song Big Spender is played.
A different era. You could have your kids show, your beloved kids show icon.
In the Muppet
drink a
Show,
martini.
Waldorf is seen holding a glass of brandy. The brandy glass reappears in photo mosaics as a Muppet.com as promotion for the Muppets.
Apparently, Oscar's Yucky Scotch was a Henson Company liquor label as a production gift. So, Oscar likes scotch. FYI.
I think with Oscar would be more of a Thunderbird man myself, but hey, what do I know?
Kermit
Thunderbird
tries
man.
to avoid his date with Dolly Parton by hiding at a bar during a 1987
That's weird.
Dolly episode. However, he reveals he's just been crying into his glass of Perrier.
Exactly. See, they have to back off from it. That's what I'm saying.
Jeez.
Sylvester Stallone singing a bird in a colored cage. I remember that.
Statler and Waldorf claim Miss Piggy's hitting the sauce again after she dunks her pizza strip into some dipping sauce in a Pizza Hut commercial.
Kermit the Frog orders a grasshopper at a bar.
Uh-huh.
Dedoots.
Wow, there's a lot of them. They're pretty thorough.
This is a huge fucking article.
Oh no, fandom wikias are intense, man. Like,
oh, there's a Fraggle Rock episode with radish beer, apparently. But then Wembley tells them that they shouldn't be drinking it because it's bad for you.
Interestingly, I just did a search. Nothing for Rolf the dog.
no, he's on there. Further down it says Rolf the dog owns a tavern in the Muppets, an establishment typically like a bar where the menu is primarily alcoholic beverages that may also sometimes offer food. So he has a tavern.
There were definitely
And Sam the Eagle wakes up at a restaurant at the end of Jungle Boogie, having experienced a fever dream, looks at his drink and asks, what exactly is in a Mai Tai anyway? So, yeah, in a lot of senses, I'm not surprised that there's a lot of humor around alcohol, but I didn't realize it was this much.
I'm gonna read one out loud, because this is why I love the Muppets, the Revive show that everyone but me hated. And this is, to be fair, out of context. But it's gonna sound funny, hopefully. Uncle Deadly unwinds after work with the old familiar burn of a martini. His refreshment is interrupted by Gloria Estefan getting into his drink. By the end of the episode, he's learned his lesson and orders 2 drinks, but Gloria Estefan vomits on his suede boots.
Oh my god!
Yeah, now that time has passed, I almost want to go back and watch that show. The new Grim and Gritty Muppets. I know it wasn't really grim and gritty, but yeah, it does sound odd that they tried to make it that way. But yeah, I was surprised it wasn't showing up here. I was like, they must have drunk a lot on that show. Kermit enjoys a mosquito mojito. Why does this article even exist, for God's sake?
Because why not? Like I said,
Alright,
fandom wikias
here's a
are
good comment
intense.
which justified the experiment. Oscar likes trash, so he drinks Jaeger.
Whoa. Harsh but fair.
There's also smoking Muppets and Muppets with anatomically functioning mouths.
What?
Oh,
Yeah.
Look,
right.
I'm gonna be honest, there's many ways that sentence could have ended, and mouths is by far the best one.
Exactly. I was leaping out of my chair, and then he said mouths. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that always did creep me out a little as a kid, where the Muppets would, like, eat things, and it would actually, like,
It would disappear.
yeah, Cookie Monster had, like, a hole for food, right? Like, he would eat stuff.
No, he didn't.
No, he just
No?
he just like chewed it up and it just went everywhere.
Yeah.
I guess. I thought some of it anyway went down. But when did a Muppet have the ability to, like, eat and
Let
not
me see.
not just spray it everywhere?
This is horrible podcasting, but
That's
Yeah.
okay.
My own fault.
Well, there's a bunch of GIFs or GIFs, whatever you like, of various Muppets on the Muppet Show and Sesame Street drinking.
Sesame Street.
Yes. Drinking various drinks. Also blowing things out like candles.
again, that's the best way that sentence could have ended.
Spitting. Eating.
This is very suggestive that you follow up spitting right after blowing, but go on.
And then after that, eating.
Why does your mind always go there, Ing?
Because
Why?
nobody can see what I'm looking at, that's why. But... And then that article leads to Muppets eating other Muppets, Muppets who grow
God.
teeth and tongues, and items other than cookies consumed by Cookie Monster. Fandom wikias are just insane.
Oh my God! Well, nothing will ever top the chair entry in Wikipedia, of course. But
The Wikipedia entry on breasts is up there.
Breasts, yeah, that beats it, I guess. The breasts entry.
And I
Please
should note,
consider your phrasing.
I should note that the image of Kermit sipping the tea is on this article with the functioning mouths.
Makes sense. It must have a big, yeah, okay. I was going to go into like the mechanics of that, and I'm like, nobody wants to hear that.
It's
let's
CGI.
not go into how that works. Yes,
It says it's CGI.
Really?
Yeah, that's what they say on the article. And then they have a separate section that's just CGI stuff that they've done.
Okay. Wow, it seems like a plastic bag would do just as well and save them some money, but I don't know. Fair enough.
Yeah.
But it was worth it for the... Oh, my God. So Vampiric Yoda in the comments is saying, we will not have Muppet Vor.
Oh my god, no, look, the Muppets are probably responsible for 90% instances of the Vor fetish.
Now I have to look at that article.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Kermit gets eaten in the early days.
Yeah, I think when it was like Sam and Friends, there's some really disturbing... There was like one Muppet that just ate everything all the time or whatever. Like ate his own face off or something. Ugh. Disturbing.
Genji Ito's Muppet Babies.
Oh, God. Oh.
I'd read it.
Yeah, so that article not only has the Muppets, it also has Fraggle Rock, dinosaurs.
Oh, Dinosaurs is full of it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is Dinosaur still on Netflix? It was.
For a minute I thought you meant like on TV. I was like, no, it ended several decades ago.
It was one of those shows that did get a lot of reruns, though. Like daytime reruns.
Uh-huh.
So that's how I watched it.
Hey, I still like the new episodes of the Jack Parr show.
When are we getting new episodes of Gentle Ben?
Bring back Sheriff Lobo.
When does Matlock come out?
Oh, well, I'm glad I was able to inspire this odd Muppet tangent.
Yep. Well, everything's better with Muppets, really. So
this is true.
Can't go wrong there. Did we have... okay, that was yours. Ing, did you have anything, or did we...
I kind of wanted to see if maybe we could get some discussion, not on anything in particular. Well, not on, like, a specific clickbait, but kind of on a, for lack of a better term, genre of clickbait we're getting.
Okay.
Okay.
Like, on topics that are coming up on it. And has everyone here seen A Wrinkle in Time?
I have not seen it yet, no.
I haven't seen it yet either.
Never mind then, we're moving on.
Oh, no!
I read the book, and I remember the book, quite well from my childhood, but I guess...
but basically, where I was going with that is that that's kind of being pretty slammed.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that a bit. The general... I was actually just commenting on that. It was interesting because the comments... People, like, on both sides, to be honest, people are kind of going, you know... they're not allowing for people to just have their own taste. And
that.
Yeah. It's, I mean, there's people who love it, and it seems like it's really aimed very squarely at kids. And it's the kind of thing that kids, especially young girls, probably enjoyed a lot. And adult male critics are probably like, whatever. You know what I mean? And that seems to be the divide there from what I've read.
Okay.
And yeah, like, because the critics have not been amazing with it, and the user reviews have not been great. But it's not, you know, it's a movie for little girls, basically.
Right.
So the appeal is, and it's getting a little more pushback than it usually does when something like that comes out, because a lot of movies are for kids and they're not that great, but you know, kids enjoy it, and then we kind of go, oh, that was garbage. But I think people feel protective of this movie because I think people feel protective of Ava DuVernay, who's the director, and Oprah as well, I guess.
Oprah and Mindy Kaling.
Mindy Kaling.
Not so much Reese Witherspoon.
No. and even the book itself, I think a lot of people are big fans of. So I think there's sort of there's a feeling that it's the kind of thing people get dumped on. I have to admit, like, I am excited to see it. I definitely want to see it. And generally, I've heard a lot of people say they thought it was great, especially if they saw it with a child. But anyway, but you've seen it, right? Eh?
Yes, I did see it this weekend with my wife.
Okay.
And you liked it?
I overall liked it. It isn't my favorite movie of the year, but it is a bit surprising seeing how negative the reviews were. But then again, also for reference, I like the Super Mario Brothers and the Silent Hill movies, so maybe that's a disincentive, but...
I mean, so bad it's good, it should be its own genre of movie in a lot of cases, but I can't imagine that this movie falls into that. It's just, sometimes a thing isn't for you, and that's okay. You can still judge it based on, like, technical things, Yeah,
there's a few technical things or minor stuff that I had with it. It didn't
ruin the experience.
Yeah, fall into, for me, declaring it garbage.
Right.
And I'm gonna be a little honest, especially given some bell curve that we get. For example, I have trouble seeing how, we can slam it so much when Suicide Squad is an Oscar-winning movie.
Yeah.
Yes. A technical Oscar, but yes.
Even still, it's an Oscar-winning movie.
It was up against Star Trek Beyond. That was still bullshit.
Yeah, no, I agree. I completely agree. It's funny. Oprah was going to be in Suicide Squad, or they talked about Oprah being in Suicide Squad too.
Really?
To get her to be Amanda Waller, which would have been amazing. Like, that would have been so...
Okay, I would have loved that movie then.
And I mean, Alfred Woodard is great. Don't get me wrong. I love her too. Yeah. But just... That would have been Oprah. Like, this is Oprah's return to movies, Wrinkle in Time. It would have been. It could have been Suicide Squad, which would have been just something else. Like, that would have been incredible.
Yeah, but I think she knows that that's not her return to movies.
Yeah, it's too bad if it had been if they'd done it right, it would have been perfect for her as Amanda Waller. But yeah, it was this sort of grimy pile of nonsense with very badly edited movie, Suicide Squad.
Yeah, so I would actually probably compare A Wrinkle in Time most to the Narnia movies.
Okay.
Right.
And especially in the sense of what I perceived as flaws of the movie and what seemed to be the consensus for it. And yeah, the Narnia didn't get this much pushback on it.
Well, I think Narnia kind of got... Like, the first one got the attention, and then afterwards people just sort of stopped paying attention to them because they were kind of being ground out, less and less enthusiasm as they kept going.
A little bit.
More, right?
And they're also just kind of there, truth be told. And I think if they do the other books, the same thing will probably happen with A Wrinkle in Time, where a lot of attention will be focused on just this one movie, and if they do the sequels, like... So Ing and I have some mutual friends, and I was hanging out with them the other day, and I told them that A Wrinkle in Time is one of 5 books, and neither of them knew that. Granted, I don't think either of them had read the books, and I started reading A Wrinkle in Time like at least 3 times as a child, and I don't know why I was never able to finish the book. I don't know why, just something always ended up stopping me from finishing the book. I only ever read like maybe the first 2 chapters, so... Not that because it was a bad book or it was badly written, but for just some strange reason I just could never ever finish the book. Maybe I can now as an adult, but...
Weirdly, I was the same way with, like, I think it's the 3rd book, A Swiftly Tilting Planet.
Okay.
I read the first book, I read A Wind in the Door, I liked them both a lot, and then I think the next one is A Swiftly Tilting Planet. For some reason, I couldn't get through that one. I don't know why. and the funny thing is they're kind of dark books. Like there's some creepy stuff. I kind of wanted to see this. I was thinking of seeing this movie with my nephew, but he's 5, and I actually feel like that might be too young for this movie.
No, I think that's okay, because I think one of the pushbacks it's getting that I can understand is I believe the creepier elements have been toned down for the movie. And that was a sense I got there. And yeah, it's actually, that touches upon what I wanted to talk about with film critique, and I found myself kind of falling into this and backing off that said, you have to make a distinction between whether you're criticizing the film or basically saying, well, this isn't what I would have done.
Yes.
And I found it out. It's like, you know what? Yeah, this isn't what I would have done if I was making the movie, but mine probably would skew to an older audience.
Right.
Or definitely would have different visual things. And yeah, it's fine as an interpretation of it, and I'm thinking that's one of the reasons. Although I am also surprised since I saw an interview with the director, whose name escapes me in an embarrassing brain fart.
Ava DuVernay?
Ava DuVernay, where she said that apparently this interviewer was the first white person to pick up on what I thought was a fairly major sort of theme or motif in the movie, and that surprised me. So, who knows, maybe a lot of people are kind of missing it because it's not for them.
Sorry, what theme was that they picked up?
It's not a scene, it's a theme, specifically, the main character's hair. She has natural hair, and anxiety and kind of, shame over that is kind of brought up for one of the insecurities.
Oh, okay.
And apparently a lot of people didn't pick that up, which was surprising to me.
Well, that's another case of, that's not my experience, so I don't understand it.
Yeah, exactly. This is clearly, it was aimed at a certain audience, and the sort of the tells that you usually get with sort of nerdy white boys. Instead, they're aimed at, I guess, a nerdy black girl, or a nerdy, and she was mixed race too, which is apparently something that a lot of people were appreciating about the movie.
Yes.
But again, it's those sort of things that, you cater to people in a certain way, and then, when it's not catering to you, you kind of, you maybe, you don't think of that being the reason, but that's something that makes you push back a little bit against it. And I mean, to be fair, I am, like a lot of people who are criticizing it, and I can sort of half see this and half not see it, because a lot of people are, I haven't seen the movie yet, so I don't know, but a lot of people are going, oh, people are just, this movie's mediocre, and people are praising it because it's woke, or whatever. It's because it's got a multiracial cast and everything like that. And I mean, just, on the one hand, yes, I can see people, it's not, you shouldn't just rush to praise something just because it checks the right boxes, but it really seems like there are people who really enjoy the movie, genuinely and enjoying it. It's not just...
And from what I've seen, it doesn't look like it falls into that trap of tokenism, because that's what they're actually trying to complain about, but it doesn't seem like it's doing that.
Yeah.
Because if it did, then she would be black, the boy would be white, and then their friend would either be Chinese or Hispanic.
I don't know. But yeah,
that's what would actually happen if it was true tokenism, and that is not what is happening at all. So
yeah. Well, I mean, it's sort of in the run up to Black Panther, people were really going, "Oh, we've got to support this movie and just show them," and they did. And I mean, it was a really good movie, obviously. And I think there was some of that also going on for Wrinkle in Time. And I think the feeling is sort of right after Black Panther, which is really good. Then people saw Wrinkle in Time. It maybe wasn't quite as much of an all-quadrant crowd pleaser as much as that one was. So people felt like that was being foisted on them or whatever in a way that, they wouldn't say that about Black Panther because it was just such an enjoyable movie. For basically... I mean, everyone seems to enjoy Black Panther. I haven't heard anyone go, "Oh, I was terrible." I mean, there's some, trolls lurking in the corners of the
I have heard one person say that it was all right. Like, that is the worst I have heard about Black Panther.
Motherfucker.
Let's get him! Yeah. Part of me can almost appreciate the contrarianism of just being like, no, I'm going to be the one guy who doesn't like Black Panther. For God's sake, not everyone should love this movie. You know what I mean? The Armand White, as it were. Actually, now that I think about it, Armand White probably didn't like the movie, right? Am I wrong about that?
I don't know who that is,
no
but
idea.
I'll trust you.
Yeah.
He's the most famous contrarian. He always, if he thinks everyone's going to hate a movie, he loves it, and if he thinks everyone's going to love a movie, he hates it, basically.
Okay, and that's his replacement for personality?
Probably.
Exactly, yes. And he's been reviewing for literally decades. He's pretty well established. And, ironically enough, he's black. So, I'm almost positive now I read him saying he thought Black Panther was terrible, and it was... I don't know. But he heaps praises on the Transformers movies. Like, he's clearly doing it to get a rise out of people at this point. He's quite famous for that, you know.
Because Black Panther by no means is a perfect film. It definitely has its issues, but that doesn't mean it's not enjoyable.
Freeman.
No.
And the same thing you could say about everything, truth be told. So,
but I mean, it was just such a success as well as being a huge hit. Like, of the movies that are in, I mean, it's already getting in. I think it's already in the top 10 of all time earners.
It's in the top 5.
Yeah, it's getting up there. And compared to some of the ones that are in there, like Avatar is still number 1. You're like, that's one of the better movies on that list, really, as far as it goes. So it's hard not to kind of root for it in that regard. It's about something, which is always a nice change for blockbusters. And people have been saying that lately. Sorry if I'm babbling a lot here, but people have been saying that lately about movies in general, but especially like the last, like Thor Ragnarok was kind of about colonialization, which Black Panther is more explicitly about.
Yes.
Some of the stuff in obviously The Last Jedi was a little bit edgier. And these are all like huge blockbuster movies, but they're tackling some pretty, heavy stuff, really, when you get down to it.
Well, truth be told, nothing is ever going to be interesting if it doesn't in some way reflect our own world. So...
Well, that's never stopped Hollywood from trying to make billions of dollars.
Oh, of course not.
If anything, it's we don't want to offend anyone. We don't want to say anything that most people would think of as good, but it's still, it's making people think, and it might.
Well, it's important to remember that Black Panther is also groundbreaking in that it basically had an entire cast and crew that was entirely black, and that doesn't happen in Hollywood. And so Hollywood basically figured that this movie would not do well, or would not do well enough in international markets. And it is doing incredibly well in international markets. And that's the other surprising thing about the movie, is that it's doing well overseas. And for that to happen is bizarre.
Yeah.
But I think part of it is because everyone is rallying behind this movie, so other people are also like, okay, let's see what the big deal is about.
Right. Yeah, it gets a certain critical mass, and everyone wants to go see it anyway. Like once it's gotten to a certain thing, and I part of me always winces when it's like, oh, it's so great that this movie has made billions of dollars. I'm like, it's a Hollywood movie. It's it's not gonna nobody's gonna see that movie money except the people at Disney and the people who are in the movie. It's reluctant to act like that's going to be this world-shattering thing, but it is true that that definitely puts that should put a stake in the idea that if it's got a heavy black cast, then it won't do well overseas, or it won't make more than a certain amount of money, and blah blah blah. And I have to agree, that is pretty heartening. I as much as I don't like cheering on billion-dollar blockbusters as if they needed anyone's help cheering them on. There is, I guess, a bit of an exception in this case, in that it probably does make a bit
I can get that. That's my instinct too, but it is also what I'm thinking. It's like, to be fair, the people who have been making the movies and getting into the door in this stuff have always been people who look kind of like me. So it is something that I can appreciate. Seeing this be successful, even if it does, largely go to the mouse.
Because and to go back to like why a lot of kind of crappy movies seem to get made all the time, it's often because even though they don't do well domestically, they do very well internationally, or well enough internationally to make that money back.
Right.
And,
yes.
So
and vice versa.
That's what they didn't think that would happen with Black Panther.
Yeah. It's actually funny that they... Sorry, Ing, you were going to say something?
Oh, and vice versa. Some movies that have done well or were decent domestically have died in the international market. The new Ghostbusters came up there, which was not hit hardest, as some people will tell you, because, of content or quality, but because China started cracking down and enforcing their policy against allowing portrayals of the supernatural.
Okay.
So it was not granted distribution in China, which is the biggest market, not just overseas.
Yeah.
Huh. And I just learned, which I was surprised to learn, apparently Star Wars has never been that big in China. It's never been, it's never... as much as Star Wars makes money, it's from other markets, and just China just kind of does okay. And of course, the people who were screeching about The Last Jedi were going, see, it's not doing well in China. It's like, well, yeah, but Star Wars apparently never does well in China, so that's not an unusual thing.
Yeah, I think as far as Asian markets goes, Star Wars is stupid popular in Japan.
Yeah, in Japan, yes.
And if it's popular in Japan, it can be popular anywhere. So,
but it legitimately, and it's not the government in China going, you can't watch it. It just apparently isn't that popular among the people who go see movies in China. They just don't, for whatever reason, it doesn't connect with Chinese audiences. Apparently, that's what they're saying anyway. So I don't know.
Yeah, who knows why?
Yeah, it's strange. I mean, and as I say, I mean, meanwhile, something like, I don't know specifically how Black Panther is done in China, but as far as I know, all the Marvel superhero movies do well. It's not like they're turning up their nose at American blockbusters in general. It's just Star Wars in particular seems to have something that they...
Well, and it's also not like it did terrible. It just wasn't what you'd expect from, hey, this is Star Wars.
Yeah, exactly.
But apparently all of Star Wars isn't, hey, this is Star Wars.
Well, for everyone else, it's a big deal, and for China, for some reason, it's not a big deal. Anyway, just fascinating to me that it's that one... and again, like Transformers, that makes gajillions of dollars in China. In fact, apparently that's one of the reasons they keep making those dang movies, is because China eats them up, apparently. So, I don't know.
Who knows why?
Yeah, very strange. They like seeing mechanical things crash into each other a lot, I guess. I don't know.
Racist.
Well, isn't that... It's true. It's a cliche about Chinese people that they like seeing mechanical things crash into each other. What? Anyway. But, anyway. I will go see Wrinkle in Time. But I was one other thing about A Wrinkle in Time, I was mentioning it on social media the other time, which I think is... I kind of touched on it, but it's interesting to me because you see the ads and you're like, and you think about the story and you're like, this is very Doctor Who-esque in many ways. It's 3 witches instead of 1 weirdo in a phone box, but otherwise it has a lot in common, that whole sort of fantasy sci-fi mix.
Oh, yeah, and this, a lot of this, just in terms of pacing and beats and actually costuming, really reminded me of, the later ones of the original run of Doctor Who, the original old BBC one. Yeah,
and well, that's the thing, because the book, I believe, was in the 50s, Wrinkle in Time, so it predates Doctor Who by a fair amount.
Yes.
And then, when Doctor Who first started, and I'm not by any means an expert on the old version of the show, but it seems to me it still wasn't much like that when it started. It sort of became... I mean, again, correct me if I'm wrong. My impression is that if you're going to compare it to an era in Who, it's kind of the 80s era of Doctor Who. Like the really weird, Sylvester McCoy and Colin Baker era, where
I
it's
was
very
specifically getting there's some things that are reminiscent of my favorite one, Happiness Patrol, or Dragon's
exactly.
Breath, or that sort of thing.
From what I've heard of, Happiness Patrol seems very much like A Wrinkle in Time in some ways. Same kind of weird concepts.
So it has the very much of the Technicolor, very surreal aesthetics. A lot of the visuals of the movie are great.
That's really the main thing that you can get from the trailers. That regardless of how else you might feel about it, it's going to be a pretty film.
Yes, it definitely is. So you can enjoy it for that.
Honestly,
level.
of all the things I've seen that made me kind of go, I don't know if I like. Some of the heavy use of CGI in the trailer made me kind of go, I don't know. It seemed a little bit blockbustery, whereas it's a very, very inventive, imaginative book with a lot of weird stuff in it. And it seemed like they were almost smoothing the weirdness off a little bit just from the trailers. Again, I haven't seen the actual movie.
I'll grant that I think some of the weirder and the darker elements are smoothed out because it's aiming for a low audience here.
Right, which is fair. But of course, when we were every generation has kids flicks that are kind of bizarre and scary too, though. So I mean, they didn't necessarily.
Or at very least ours, which had Don Bluth.
Yeah, exactly. There's Don Bluth. There's the early '80s Disney stuff like The Black Hole and Something Wicked This Way Comes, and what else? Return to Oz. That's pretty disturbing when you're a kid, that stuff. Even now, Harry Potter is a little bit creepy for really young kids.
Okay, and also being honest, Return to Oz is still really creepy as an adult.
Yeah, it's quite a creepy movie. It does not shy away from it at all. It's even, ironically, usually they say, they didn't keep the creepiness of the book. I would say the book is nowhere near as creepy as Return to Oz. They really darkened it up for the movie, I think.
Yeah.
The Wheelers are not as scary in the book as they are in the movie. It's just kind of a bizarre, whimsical... It's a weird idea, but it's not in the movie, they're just horrifying, wheeled creatures. Very Terry Gilliam-esque and very, very creepy.
Huh.
Yeah. That. Having read the books compared to the movie, I remember I saw the movie and I'd read the books, and so I was like, hey, they're basically adapting... I think it was the third book more than anything. Ozma of Oz, I think, that they were drawing from, because Dorothy's in that one. She's not in the second book. He has a very light, whimsical tone. It's for all the strangeness, it's kind of comforting and cozy, the tone of the book, versus when they adopted Return to Oz. It's they just went full on. It's not even that dark a book. It's the opposite of what usually happens, where they make it less scary.
Well, they were clearly also tapping into some of the other Oz entries in terms of tone.
Yeah. It depends. You mean in the books or
the books? Yeah.
I've actually never read any of the Oz books, so
yeah.
But I'm greatly disappointed we've never had a cinematic appearance of the Meat Man.
Yeah, there's some weird stuff in those books, but at least thanks to Return to Oz, we got TikTok. That's the thing. He's a huge part of the books.
Yes, and TikTok is a favorite, but my favorite character for Oz is still just the concept of the Meatwood Man.
Oh, you've mentioned that before.
Yeah, so for those who don't know, everyone knows the Tin Woodman, who in his story is the Wicked Witch of the East, I want to say, curses his axe. So when he swings it lops off a body part. So a tinker replaces it with tin and metal each time until eventually he's entirely made out of tin, except for his heart, which was lost.
Right.
So in a later Oz books, they find there's the Tin Woodman, and then there's his counterpart / twin, the Meatwood Man, who is basically a Frankenstein made by gluing back together all the pieces of the Woodman that were lopped off.
Yes, I remember that now. Oh my god. Jeezly crow.
And for one, that's creepy enough. For two, the real mind fuck of that is that they both have the same memories of being the same person.
Right, yeah.
Oh, that's not good.
Because one was made by gradually replacing each bit with metal, and the other one was made by taking all those parts lost and putting them back together.
There's a Futurama episode like that with Hermes where he keeps separating himself cybernetically. And then there's still a body left over that gets used for things. But yeah, of all the things you're gonna do, just the concept of the Tin Woodsman, the last thing you want to do is poke at that concept because it's so nonsensical on purpose. But then to keep going with it and do that is just, it shows why L. Frank Baum was kind of an oddball, that guy. He wouldn't let something lie. He'd just keep making weirdness with it. Anyway.
And we're way off topic.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's the
point. That was the point. Well, so shall we wrap it up for the evening? It's been a couple hours. We got some good stuff, I think.
I think so.
Okay.
We got some stuff, a lot of it unusable, but
we'll see what happens.
If anything, I think there's way more usable stuff in this podcast than there usually is. It's good stuff. Yes. Remember, folks, we keep only the prime quality content here at Destroy All Clickbait, and that's the stuff we give to you. You should see the garbage we edited out, anyway.
Which you can see in our other podcast, made entirely of just cut material I call the Meat Woodsman.
The Meatwood Clickbait. And on that note...
Oh.
That's one of those ideas I have as a joke, but then I'm thinking, as performance art, as an experimental thing, just a podcast made out of entirely material from cutting room floors.
People clearing their throats. Yeah, it's great. I'll make $1 million on that.
I'm not
sure.
Okay, look, if
I'm sure there's...
if David Lynch released a podcast with this idea, you'd love it.
Yeah,
my thought is that it'd have a weird ASMR bent to it,
And next week we'll talk about AMSR, since we apparently talk about perverts almost every week, and we gotta cover that one.
Oh gosh.
Next week, next time we do the podcast, we'll talk about that. The internet is all random, meaningless chaos, as is life, as is the universe. We're all fated for the grave, and on that note, have a good night, sleep well, avoid clickbait, and keep your minds...
Ancient Mayan catfish rituals.
Buy catfish rituals and vaginal beer, and that will keep the darkness at bay for another couple weeks. Until then, people out there in meat space, good night, destroy all clickbait, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.